Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. Today I wanted to show you guys some of my current favorite foundations that I've absolutely been loving recently, or shall I say like the last year, so to speak, because obviously we are coming to the end of the year. And these foundations are a mixture of drugstore and high-end foundations. If you are new here, then hello, welcome. Hope you consider sticking around and subscribing. If you are not new, then hey girl, how you doing? I hope you are doing well. Let's just get right into it. So if you watch my videos regularly, you might already know what this first foundation is, and it is the Nars Radiant Longwear foundation. I absolutely love this foundation. I use this, I would say, pretty regularly. Out of all of my foundations, this is probably like the one that I gravitate towards the most, and I just love the formula and the finish of this foundation. Obviously, Natural Radiant Longwear speaks for itself. Not only is the coverage on this foundation absolutely great, but also the finish of this foundation, it's sort of like a dewy finish, but it also gives like a smooth finish as well. I don't know if it will pick up if I swatch it, but I'm gonna do it anyways. I just love the way it makes my skin look. It just gives me like a really nice healthy glow. Obviously you guys probably won't be able to tell too much, but it just gives me like a really nice healthy glow. For me personally, I do find that it does last like a couple of hours. I do have combination skin. Some people find that this foundation doesn't last that long on them. I think it just depends on how you prep your skin and also what your skin type is, but for me personally, this foundation does last a good couple of hours, obviously depending on how I do my foundation on that particular day. But this is like number one, and the reason for that is just mainly the finish and just how it makes my skin look. So Nars number one. If you haven't tried this already, then where have you been, girl? Where have you been? This is what I do tend to recommend to people that have sort of like dry or combination dry skin, because it just makes your skin look absolutely beautiful and luminous, and I just love it. I love it. So that's number one. This is quite a difficult one, my second one, but I have to give it off to the Revolution Conceal and Hydrate foundation. This for me is sort of like a dupe to the Nars one, except this one I would say is a little bit more hydrating and a little bit more of a dewy finish. I just love the way this makes my skin look. Again, it gives me this nice healthy luminous glow. Obviously it is a hydrating foundation, and again, a lot of people with oily skin tend to find that this isn't like a great one for them to go for, but I have combination skin and I find that this is literally perfect for me. I just love the finish of this foundation. I do find that it does give quite a lot of coverage, so these foundations they're very full coverage, even using a brush or a sponge. This foundation is £9. I do find that it also does do a great job, and I don't usually mix this one with other foundations, whereas this Nars one I do find that it is pretty nice to mix in with other formula foundations, and obviously is a high-end foundation. The ingredients are a lot different to the Revolution one, but cheap and cheerful, and yeah, I just love the way it makes my skin look. The third one, it has to go to the Lancome Teint Idole foundation. This is the Lancome Idole Ultra Wear one, because they do have different versions. This one is more like, I want to say like a satin finish. It's not a matte finish. I wouldn't describe this as a matte finish, although some might. I would say it's more like a satin finish, but I just like the formula. Again, the finish, it doesn't give me as much of a glow as like the Revolution one or the Nars foundation, but I just find that it really works well on my skin. It does last quite a long time as well, to be honest. I find that the other two foundations are a little bit more full coverage than this one, but I haven't used this for a while. Well, not a while. I kind of tend to use this mainly in the summer, and that's just basically because of the shade. When I am quite tanned, this is just like the perfect shade for me to go for. But even in the summer, I find that it works great, because obviously when it's hot, some people can get a bit sweaty. You don't want your makeup to kind of slide off or sweat off or anything like that, and I find that the formula and the finish of this foundation works great for me. Again, it's a satin finish. Some might refer to it as like a soft matte finish, but I would probably say it's definitely more of a satin finish, and it works great for oily and combination skin. I think it does work great for dry skin as well, because it's not like a matte drying finish. So I think for all skin types, this is definitely a good one to go for. Okay, number 4 on the list is a new member in our kit, and this is the Revolution Conceal and Glow foundation. I did do a review on this one and I was actually pleasantly surprised. When I first got this foundation, I thought it would be more so of a glow foundation, so a little bit more hydrating than the Conceal and Hydrate, but I found that it wasn't. This was actually a little bit more drying than Conceal and Hydrate. It reminded me of another high-end concealer, another high-end foundation, which I will include next. But once you let it sit on your face, after about an hour or so, I just love the luminosity that comes through with this foundation, and I find that this would actually work well on all skin types, oily, combination, dry, because it's not like super hydrating and it's not super matte, if that makes sense. And the luminosity that it brings, I just think it's so beautiful, and it is a full coverage foundation as well, and you can also build it up to your liking. So this definitely has to be number 4. I've been using it quite a bit as well, and I absolutely love this foundation. This one is £9.99, so it definitely is an affordable foundation, more affordable than my other ones, and this is honestly one that I would also repurchase when I run out as well. But yeah, this is number 4. And number 5 goes to the Nars Sheer Glow foundation. This is also one that I actually really like. When I first got this, again, I thought this would give me like a glowy finish, and when this first came out, I wasn't really into like the glowy finish, hydrating finish sort of foundation, so I really stayed away from it. But then when I bought it, I was actually really surprised. It is more of like a drying, not drying, but it's definitely not like the natural Longwear Radiant one. This is definitely more of like a hydrating slash dewy foundation than this one, which again, you might kind of be a little bit confused because it's got glow in it, but this one actually does remind me of the Revolution Conceal and Glow, so I would probably say like this is like a dupe to this one, but the textures are very different, and I also think the Revolution one would actually give a bit more of coverage than this foundation. Obviously it is a high-end foundation, so it is going to be a little bit more expensive, but I really like this foundation. It's not drying to the skin, and it does last quite a bit of time as well. I tend to usually mix this with my natural Radiant Longwear foundation because I just love the way it is mixed together, but I would probably say like this is more of like, not a skin-like, but kind of like more of a skin-like foundation, but you can build it up. I'll probably say this is more of like a medium coverage foundation, light to medium coverage, but I really like the finish of this foundation. But it's definitely a good one to go for. It does last quite a bit of time as well, and I think this can work pretty good for all skin types, combination oily and dry. The next foundation is the Fenty Beauty Pro Filtr Soft Matte Foundation. I actually was pretty surprised that I went for this one instead of the hydrating one, but I've just recently been using this again, and I absolutely love the finish it gives me. It just, even though it's a soft matte foundation and I tend to go for more dewy foundations, the finish it gave was just like a smooth, blurry, just a beautiful finish, and I absolutely love it. And I actually think the finish of this, for me personally, is a little bit more flawless than the hydrating one, but I also do like to mix this with the hydrating one. It kind of depends on what the weather's like. This was very popular for oily skin and also combination skin. A lot of oily skin girls and combination skin girls absolutely loved the way this foundation looked on them. Again, it just gives a nice airbrush flawless finish, and there's nothing like it on the market for me. I have used quite a bit of foundations. It does dry pretty quickly, but I find that there's nothing compared to this particular foundation in my kit, and I just think the formula and the finish of this is very different to my other foundations. I have used quite a bit of matte foundations in the past, and I do still have some in my collection, but I really just don't reach for them. And out of all of the matte foundations that I have, this Fenty Beauty one is the one that I tend to go for the most. And last but certainly not least, it is the L'Oreal Fresh Wear foundation. This is the Infallible 24-hour Fresh Wear foundation. I can't comment on the claim of it being a 24-hour foundation, but I can definitely say that this is a long wearing foundation. I was pleasantly surprised when I first tried this foundation. It is a drugstore foundation. Obviously L'Oreal is a drugstore brand. I absolutely love this foundation. It literally is like your skin but better, and it's, I don't want to say it's not matte, and it's definitely not dewy. I think it's more so in between. I probably would say it's more like a satin finish. I just love the formula of this foundation. I was really surprised because it is drugstore, and I believe this was my second time trying a L'Oreal foundation. It's been years since I wore L'Oreal, and then I got my hands on this and I absolutely loved it, and I started kind of giving a bit more hope to drugstore foundations because the shade range was actually pretty decent, so I managed to get a shade for me. Definitely would work well for all skin types, oily combination and dry skin types as well. I would say it's like a medium coverage, but it can be built to a full coverage, and it's quite surprising because not only is it like super runny, and fresh wear might make you think, oh, you know, it's really light and airy, but it's actually got a pretty good coverage, and I will link a video of me using this foundation. But I just love the texture, formula and the finish of this foundation. I don't mix this with any other of my foundations. I think some foundations, depending on the formula, it can be mixed with others, but this one I've not tried it before, and yeah, I prefer not to mix it with anything else. But that's pretty much it. I just wanted to bring you guys my current favorite foundations, which as you can see is a mixture between drugstore and high-end. Most of them are obviously high-end. I just kind of gravitate towards the finish of the foundations and also the formula, but I am obviously trying to kind of spread my wings out a little bit in terms of the different brands and foundations that are out there. But like they say, if it's not broke, don't fix it, and this ain't broke, so yeah, these are my current favorite foundations. I will list everything down below, and yeah, that's all. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please do give it a thumbs up if you did. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and I hope I will see you all in my next one. Bye.